Hello and welcome back to the new user training on the Sprockets database. At this point in the training, we've covered how to put in activities, put in participants, demographic information, take attendance, really everything that you're going to be tracking around participation in the Sprockets database. You've learned how to put it in. This last section of the training is going to focus on how to get it out in some reports and start using those reports to understand your participation. This section is going to be a really quick overview of the reports that are available to you in the Sprockets database. If reporting is a big part of your role, Sprockets does do more detailed trainings on running reports and using information from reports several times through the year, so get on the Sprockets email list and keep an eye out for those trainings if reporting is a big part of your role. But here we're just going to do a quick overview of the reports you have available. So most of the reports you're going to want to run in the Sprockets database will be on this Custom Reports tab that you'll see here on the left. And I'm going to walk you through running some of the most commonly run reports. So starting at the top, this attendance report is going to be a large report telling you just about everything you could want to know about attendance in your program. I'm going to click on the attendance report. And all of these custom reports in the Sprockets database are going to have the same basic data entry screen where you're going to select the name of your site. That's probably just going to be your organization's name. You're going to select the activities that you're interested in. You can hit all to select all of them, or you can select just ones that are interesting to you. And then you'll want to put in the report period start date. So for example, if I wanted to look back at my attendance in the 2013-2014 school year, I could put in the start date of my 2013-2014 program, which let's say it started in September and ended in May. And then when you hit generate, it's going to start generating the report in a new tab in your browser. So again, you do want to make sure that pop-ups aren't blocked, just like with some of those roster reports we looked at earlier. And this is what the attendance report is going to look like. You're going to have a nice dashboard here with all kinds of information about attendance, a little chart showing your attendance over the course of the year. And then you have all these additional tabs down here to pull additional data about your program. So if you want to see daily attendance, if you want to see attendance by participant, you can see how many days each of your participants attended. A lot of programs do like to recognize youth who attend, at least 50 days or at least 75% of the time. So this is a quick way to see how many days each of your participants attended. Maybe you want to reach out to a participant who didn't attend very much. Like here you can see someone who only attended 15 days. You can do that using this report. You can see the same information a slightly different way if you want to see attendance rate rather than number of days. You can see attendance by activity. So if you want to see which was your best attended activity this year, you could look at that, and here I could see that my craft activity had slightly lower attendance than my basketball club, for example. And then if you are tracking event attendance, and again, those are just the head count type of activities, you can see event attendance on here too. And an important thing to note on any of these custom reports is this Save As button up here in the top left. If you click on that, you can actually save this report as Excel, and then you'll be able to see the whole list of participants and also do some additional analysis on it if you're interested. And that's true of any of these custom reports that we're going to look at. Another custom report that you might find helpful is contact information. When you generate that contact information report, you'll see the names of all of your youth and phone numbers, emails, and street addresses for those youth. Also, along this bottom tab, you'll see emergency contacts and family contact information if you're tracking those in the database. Again, you can save this as Excel, and then you'd be able to copy all of those youth emails, paste them into a mass email about an upcoming event. So that can be a very helpful report. Skipping down a little bit on the list, this participant counts demographics is probably the most run report in the Sprockets database. And what that's going to look like when you generate it is it's going to be an unduplicated count of how many participants you're serving. So if you have participants who are in multiple programs, it'll just count them once. And then it breaks those participants down by age, gender, race, grade. If I scroll on down here, free reduced lunch status, you have additional tabs breaking it down by school, by zip code, by detailed race if you're tracking specific cultural groups. So this report is very popular because it's most of the information you're going to need for a funder report. Most funders want to know the male-female breakdown in your program and breakdowns by race and zip code. So it's really easy to just, again, save this as an Excel file, and then you can just copy and paste that information into your funder report. The other reason it's nice is you'll see here that I'm limiting it to participants attending 2 or more days of programming. It can be a very valuable report for that reason, because a lot of times programs will say we don't want to count someone as being served by our program if they just showed up the first day and then never came back. So you can set whatever threshold you want to count someone as actually being a participant of your program. Another way that it can be helpful is that you can run this report for anyone attending just 1 day or more, and then you can run it for anyone attending 30 days or more, and you can see if the demographics look very different. So if I were to look here and say, okay, with just 2 or more days of programming, I'm about 50-50 male and female. But if I look at people who attended 30 days or more, suddenly I have way more girls than boys. So what that's telling you is that the boys are not getting up to that same level of participation. So you can start to look at, well, why are we losing all those boys from our program? Start to target retention for that group. This retention report lets you get a sense of how many youth are coming back to your program year after year. It's also another thing that's commonly asked by funders. And that report's just going to have a simple number here. So what I can see here is that 78% of my participants in last year's program came back to this year's program. I can see a list of which youth came back, which youth were only here last year, which youth were only there this year. This snapshot report is actually sent out by Wilder to each organization about once a month, but you can run it at any point. And it's just a nice one-glance look at what's happening with your program. So you can see here charts showing the breakdown of your program by gender, by race, ethnicity, and by age. And you can also use it to compare 2 different time periods. So you can see if my attendance was, I'm comparing here October to November, I can see here my attendance was quite a bit higher in November. So just a quick way to look at how your program is doing each month. It can be a really nice report to take to board meetings or meetings with other people who may not know the basics of what's happening in your program. You have a couple different spreadsheet reports here. We call those kind of our data dump reports. If you just need a big spreadsheet of all of your participants and all their information so that you can dig a little bit deeper and find out more information about them, like if you needed to know how many 6th graders go to Battle Creek Middle School, you could run this all participants report, get a big spreadsheet, and filter to see those more detailed pieces of information. And then you also have access to several data quality check reports. Those are reports for when you've been doing a lot of data entry and you want to make sure that you didn't miss any information. So you can run this report to see youth who are missing demographics, and what that's going to tell you is just for each demographic piece, it'll give you the names of youth who are missing that information. So by gender, names of the youth where you forgot to enter gender. Dates missing attendance is going to do the same thing, but for dates where you forgot to take attendance. So for each activity, it'll tell you which dates are missing attendance. And then this full report is also something that Wilder sends out to organizations about once a month. And that combines these other 2 reports into one big report where you can see what information is missing. I brought up an example here of a data quality check report. So here you can see all the dates that I'm missing attendance for basketball club. I can see I'm not missing birthday for any participants, so that's great. I can look at missing demographics and I can see, okay, here are some youth. Here's a youth where I forgot to enter their race. Here's a youth where I forgot to enter their address. So you can go and fill in that information before you need to run a funder report and see that you're missing data. So most of the time, this custom reports page is going to be your best bet for reporting on any information that you put into the database. You also have this tab just called Reports. Those are reports that were built into the database before Sprocket started customizing it. So some of these aren't actually as helpful as the custom reports, but there are a few on here that are good. I'm going to scroll down and just quickly show you. There's this report called Participants by Number of Absences. It's really great for programs that want to get in touch with youth who haven't attended a certain number of times in a row. So sometimes a program will say, if a youth misses 3 days in 2 weeks, I want to get them on the phone and just make sure that they're going to be coming back. This report's a great way to do that. I'm just going to show you quickly how to run it. So you'll just click on the name of the report, put in the date range that you're interested in. So I want to see anyone who's missed who has missed 2 or more days this month, and then hit generate. And you'll get a list of the names of all the youth who've missed 2 or more times, which date they've missed, and their phone number if you've entered it into the system. So this can be a great just functional report to print out, and then you have all the phone numbers right there to go through and call and say, hey, we haven't been seeing Max. Is he going to be coming back to class? And then another good report on this page is the participant mail labels report. This report will actually pull your participants' names and addresses into a report that lines up with those standard Avery 5160 mailing labels that most programs use for mass mailings. So it'll look like this. When you print it on your printer, you can actually print it directly onto the mailing label stickers, and then you can skip the whole process of doing a mail merge. So this can be a really great time-saving tool. And again, that's on the Reports tab, about halfway down, under Lists and Labels. You can print off rosters from this page. If you're fairly database savvy, you can also use this custom report builder to build some of your own reports along with the query tool. But for the most part, your best bet in the Sprockets database is going to be to start on the custom reports tab and see if you can find what you need. Reporting is also a role that Wilder can play. If there's a very specific report you need and you just can't figure out how to get it out of the Sprockets database, feel free to contact me at Wilder, and I can either run the report for you or I can walk you through how to do it yourself. So that's just a quick overview of running reports in the Sprockets database. Again, if you're especially interested in running reports and want to go into more detail with each of these reports, we do run a report training a couple times a year, so just keep your eyes out for that. And with that, you've completed the new user training for the Sprockets database. So your next step is to fill out the user responsibility form. You'll need to initial that you've completed every step of the training and that you understand all of your privacy responsibilities. And then you can send that form to me at Wilder. The information will be on the form to receive the login to start using the data system. So don't hesitate if you have any questions to contact me, and I can help you walk through anything that we've covered so far. Thanks so much for taking this training, and I'll look forward to hearing from you.